In 1606 BC, Tang of Shang launched his campaign against the tyrannical Xia dynasty, leading an army of 70 war chariots and 5,000 soldiers westward. The two armies clashed at Mingtiao. The Xia forces collapsed, and their last ruler, Ji, fled south into exile where he eventually died at Mount Nanchao. With the fall of Xia, Tang laid the foundation for the new Shang Dynasty. This was a turning point in Chinese history. Tang had overthrown a ruling dynasty by force, shattering the old belief that kings ruled forever by divine right. From this point on, dynasties in China would rise and fall through conquest. Historians call this the Shang Tang Revolution. Tang ruled until around 1588 BC, dying at the age of 100. Since his eldest son had died before him, his third son, Weibing, took the throne, though he was already elderly himself. Just 3 years later, in 1584 BC, Weibing died, and his brother Zhongren became king. Zhongren's reign was also brief. By 1582 BC, the throne passed to Taijia, Tang's eldest grandson. Taijia was guided by Yi Yin, a loyal minister who had served under 4 kings and tried to teach the young ruler to govern wisely, following the laws Tang had established. For the first 2 years, Taijia ruled reasonably well, but by his 3rd year, everything changed. He became reckless and cruel, issued orders on a whim, indulged in pleasure at the people's expense, and tore apart the laws his grandfather had built. Yi Yin pleaded with him repeatedly, but Taijia wouldn't listen. So Yi Yin made a drastic decision. He exiled the king. Taijia was sent to live near Tang's tomb, forced into hard labor, to reflect on his actions. This episode became known as Yi Yin banishes Taijia. For 3 years, Taijia lived in disgrace, and slowly, genuine remorse set in. Convinced the king had truly changed, Yi Yin brought him back to the capital and restored his power. The reformed Taijia ruled with wisdom and virtue from then on. The neighboring lords pledged loyalty once again, and the people lived in peace. He reigned for 12 years before his death around 1570 BC. In Shang succession customs, the throne typically passed to a younger brother first, and only to a son if no brother was available. So after Taijia's death, his son Woding became king. Around 1562 BC, the great minister Yi Yin died at the remarkable age of 100 and was buried near the capital with full honors. He was succeeded as chief minister by Zhou Dan, another loyal veteran from Tang's era, who continued upholding Tang's laws as a guide for the young king. Woding reigned for 29 years, dying around 1541 BC. His brother, Taigeng, succeeded him and became one of the wiser rulers of the early Shang period. After Taigeng's death around 1499 BC, his son Xiaojia took the throne. The Shang capital at this time was located at Bo. When Xiaojia died, his brother Yongji became king, and this marked the beginning of a real decline. Yongji was incompetent and neglected his duties, allowing the dynasty to weaken. The regional lords grew increasingly powerful and independent, and many stopped sending tribute to the royal court altogether. Around 1487 BC, Yongji's brother Taiwu took the throne. Recognizing the crisis, Taiwu appointed a capable minister named Wu Xian to help him govern. Wu Xian proved remarkably effective, and under their combined leadership, the declining Shang began to recover. The lords returned to allegiance, and Taiwu earned the honored title Zhongzong, meaning the ancestor who restored the middle. He reigned for an extraordinary 75 years, the longest of any Shang ruler. Around 1412 BC, Taiwu's son Zhongding took the throne. During his reign, tribes from the southeast, the Yi people, rose up and attacked Shang territory. Zhongding managed to repel them, but the campaign badly weakened his own forces. When he died, a chaotic power struggle erupted among his many brothers, each backed by their own factions, all fighting over the throne. By 1399 BC, Weiren, one of Zhongding's brothers, seized power through sheer force, setting a dangerous precedent. From now on, whoever held the most power could simply take the throne. This triggered over a century of succession chaos, a turbulent era historians call the 9 generations of disorder. When Weiren died around 1384 BC, his brother He Danjia took over, but the dynasty continued to weaken. Desperate to stabilize things, he moved the capital northward to Xiang. He launched campaigns against rebellious tribes in the southeast, and with help from allied states, managed to bring some order back. But He Danjia fell ill and died during these campaigns, after a 9-year reign, and was buried at Xiang. Around 1375 BC, his son Zhu Yi became king. The capital at Xiang sat in the floodplain of the Yellow River, and frequent flooding eventually threatened even the royal palace. So Zhu Yi relocated the capital first to Geng, and later to Bai. With the help of his minister Wu Xian, the economy and society recovered, and Shang enjoyed renewed prosperity. Zhu Yi reigned for 19 years. After his death around 1356 BC, his son Zhuxin took the throne. But the empire was still mired in the 9 generations of disorder, and internal conflict continued to erode Shang power. Around 1350 BC, Zhuxin's brother Wujia became the 15th king of Shang. Around 1345 BC, Wujia's nephew Zuding succeeded him. When Zuding died, his cousin Pan Geng took the throne, and Shang's fortunes declined yet again. He moved the capital from Bai to Yan, According to Oracle bone records, this transition appears to have been voluntary, with Pan Geng stepping aside peacefully. Around 1335 BC, Zhu Ding's son, Yangjia, became king. By now, internal chaos had spiraled out of control. The slave-owning nobility were locked in, violent power struggles amongst themselves. Regional lords no longer paid homage to the throne, and Yangjia simply couldn't restore order. Caught between internal collapse and external threats, with no real power to act, he died after just 7 years on the throne. Around 1300 BC, Pan Geng became king, and he turned out to be one of the most consequential rulers in Shang history. Determined to stabilize the unstable society, he decided the dynasty needed a fresh start. Another move of the capital. Most of the nobility resisted fiercely. They were comfortable where they were and didn't want to relocate. But Pan Geng refused to back down. He gathered the resistant nobles and persuaded them, promising fertile land and abundant water at the new site. Eventually, the nobility relented, and the entire court crossed the Yellow River westward to a new capital at Yin. This relocation became famous in history as Pan Geng's move to Yin. Once settled, Pan Geng reorganized the government, revitalized the economy, and sparked a genuine revival of the declining Shang Dynasty. After Pan Geng's death around 1272 BC, his brother Xiaoxin took the throne, but abandoned Pan Geng's reforms entirely, and the dynasty slid backward once again. When Xiaoxin died around 1262 BC, his brother Xiaoyi became king. Xiaoyi campaigned against the Dongyi and Guifang tribes and established the formal Shang sacrificial rites. Crucially, he also sent his son, the future king Wu Ding, to live and work among the common people, farming the land. This experience would prove essential for what came next. Xiaoyi reigned for 21 years. Around 1251 BC, Xiaoyi died and his son Wu Ding became the 22nd king of Shang. Wu Ding dreamed of restoring Shang to greatness, but lacked capable ministers to help him. So he did something extraordinary. For 3 years, he said nothing at all, leaving day-to-day decisions to his chief steward while he quietly observed the kingdom and studied his problems. Eventually, Wu Ding discovered a man named Fu Yue, a former convict laborer, and appointed him prime minister. Fu Yue proved brilliant, helping Wu Ding govern the kingdom exceptionally well and strengthening royal authority significantly. Wu Ding died around 1192 BC and was given the posthumous title Gaozong, meaning exalted ancestor. His second son Zhu Geng succeeded him. Zhu Geng had an older half-brother named Zhu Ji, who was deeply devoted to their parents. He reportedly woke 5 times every night, just to check that his parents were sleeping peacefully, which earned him Wu Ding's deep affection. Wu Ding had originally intended to make Zhu Ji his heir, but Zhu Ji's mother had died young, and his stepmother despised him, constantly slandering him to Wu Ding. Eventually, Zhu Ji was exiled from the capital. The heartbreak of this betrayal consumed him, and he died not long after from grief and despair. So when Wu Ding died, the throne passed instead to Zhu Geng, who carried forward his father's revival of the dynasty. Under his rule, Shang's economy, culture, and national strength all remained remarkably strong. Zhu Geng reigned for 7 years, dying around 1185 BC, and was succeeded by his brother Zhujia. Zhujia had spent time living among ordinary people before becoming king, and he genuinely understood their hardships. As ruler, he placed limits on the nobility's power, restricting their ability to exploit and oppress the common people, even revising Tang's ancient legal codes to rein in corrupt aristocratic families. This earned him fierce resentment from the nobility, and internal tensions grew sharply during his reign. Together, Wu Ding, Zhu Geng, and Zhujia represented the peak of the Shang restoration, over a century where Shang's power and prestige radiated across the region, and Bronze Age civilization in the Central Plains reached spectacular heights. But after Zhujia, the dynasty entered a long, irreversible decline that would eventually lead to its downfall. Zhujia reigned for 33 years. His son Lin Xin succeeded him, but ruled for only 2 years before dying, after which his brother Geng Ding took the throne. During Geng Ding's reign, the Chang tribes in the Shanxi Gansu region rose up again. Geng Ding launched a carefully planned campaign, defeating the Chang and seizing some of their territory, but never fully conquered them, leaving a lingering threat. In his later years, Geng Ding became deeply devoted to shamanistic religion, and the growing influence of these priests began to threaten royal authority itself. Around 1147 BC, Geng Ding died, and his son Wu Yi became the 27th king of Shang. Wu Yi was an important figure in the late Shang period. He tried hard to save the declining dynasty, though with limited success. He played a key role in the shift from theocratic to monarchic power, but he was also notoriously cruel and obsessed with luxury. Wu Yi launched repeated military campaigns, often mobilizing armies of several thousand troops. He eventually subdued the Zhifang tribe, capturing over 2,000 prisoners, most of whom became slaves. He also led brutal campaigns against southern vassal states, massacring local populations. History remembers him as a tyrant. Around 1113 BC, Wu Yi died and his son Wending took the throne. By this time, a man named Jili had been appointed Lord of Zhou by Wu Yi and granted authority to lead military campaigns on Shang's behalf. Jili used this power to expand westward, destroying the state of Cheng and defeating the Yik tribe in the north. Wending, eager to neutralize the growing threat from the Zhou, adopted a strategy of appeasement mixed with manipulation. When Jili achieved another major victory, this time against a powerful confederation called the Yiklong, he traveled to the Shang capital to present captives and spoils to Wending, who was delighted and rewarded him with the prestigious title of Mushi, granting him exclusive authority over military campaigns. But a few years later, when Jili won yet another decisive victory against the Yiklong, Wending grew genuinely alarmed at how powerful Zhou was becoming. Determined to contain them, he lured Jili back to the capital under the pretense of honoring him, granting him the title Sibo, Western Earl, to make him feel secure and unsuspecting. Then, the moment Jili prepared to return home, Wending suddenly had him arrested and imprisoned, refusing to let him return to Zhou. Jili had never actually planned a rebellion, but locked away under house arrest. He went on a hunger strike in protest, and ultimately died in the Shang capital of Yindu, also known as Zhaoge. His death was directly caused by Wending's betrayal. Ancient texts record this bluntly, as Wending killed Li. Jili's son was none other than the legendary Jicheng, the future King Wen of Zhou. From that moment on, Jicheng spent his days and nights plotting revenge against the Shang Dynasty, ultimately becoming the architect of Shang's eventual downfall. Wending's attempt to crush the Zhou through treachery had failed to stop their rise. If anything, it sealed Shang's fate. Around 1102 BC, Wending died and his son Diyi took the throne. By now, the Shang dynasty was clearly in terminal decline. In Diyi's first year, the Zhou tribe attacked Shang territory. The following year, the Kunyi tribe attacked as well. Diyi sent his general Nanzhong westward to repel the Kunyi and to fortify the northern frontier with new defenses. To avoid fighting enemies on two fronts at once, Diyi made a strategic marriage, giving one of Wending's daughters to Jicheng, the new lord of Zhou, easing tensions with the increasingly powerful Zhou state. With the Zhou conflict calmed, Diyi turned his attention to suppressing rebellions from the Yi tribes in the east. Around 1076 BC, Diyi died and his son Dixin took the throne. The man history would remember as King Zhou, the last ruler of Shang, and one of the most notorious tyrants in Chinese history. By all accounts, King Zhou was extraordinarily gifted, sharp-witted, eloquent, and physically powerful enough to wrestle wild beasts with his bare hands. But this brilliance bred arrogance. He believed no one in the world was his equal. He drowned himself in wine and pleasure, surrounding himself with women, and became infatuated with his consort Taijia. He raised taxes relentlessly, filling his treasuries to overflowing. He mocked the gods and ancestral spirits with open contempt. He had a massive pool filled with wine, and meat hung from trees like a forest, where he and his courtiers staged drunken orgies. Naked revelry that shocked the kingdom. The people grew to despise him, and several vassal lords began turning against him. In response, King Zhou doubled down on brutality. He introduced a horrifying execution method known as the roasting punishment. He surrounded himself with corrupt officials, promoting men like Li to high positions purely because they flattered him. One incident captures his cruelty perfectly. A noble named Hu presented his beautiful daughter to King Zhou, but she resisted his advances. Enraged, King Zhou had her killed, and then had Hu himself chopped into minced meat. When another noble, Zhou, protested fiercely on Hu's behalf, King Zhou had him turned into dried meat strips as well. When Jicheng, lord of Zhou, heard about these atrocities, he sighed privately in despair. But King Zhou found out and threw Jicheng into prison at a place called Yuli. Jicheng's loyal ministers gathered beautiful women, fine horses, and treasures, and presented them to King Zhou as a bribe, and only then was Jicheng released. King Zhou's court grew increasingly corrupt. He relied heavily on a minister named Fei Zhong, a flattering, greedy man universally despised, which drove away talented people from the kingdom. He also promoted Eli, a slanderer who fed him lies, further isolating the throne from honest counsel, and pushing the vassal states even further away from Shang. Meanwhile, back in his homeland, Jicheng quietly cultivated virtue and good governance. Many lords, disillusioned with Shang, defected to his side, and Zhou's power grew steadily stronger. King Zhou, oblivious, continued losing his grip on the empire. His uncle, Bigan, tried desperately to counsel him, but King Zhou wouldn't listen. Bigan insisted that a loyal minister must speak truth even at the cost of his life. Furious, King Zhou declared he'd heard that the hearts of sages have 7 openings, and had Bigan's chest cut open so he could examine his heart with his own eyes. Witnessing this horror, another relative, Jizi, feigned madness and disguised himself as a slave to survive. King Zhou discovered the deception anyway and imprisoned him too. Meanwhile, 2 senior officials, the Grand Tutor and Junior Tutor, fled in terror to the state of Zhou. When King Wu of Zhou, Jicheng's son, learned that the Shang ruling class was fracturing from within, with key officials defecting to his side, he gathered an alliance of regional lords and marched against Shang. At that very moment, King Zhou's main army was deployed far away, fighting the Dongyi tribes in the east, leaving the capital dangerously exposed. This was the opening King Wu had been waiting for. In 1047 BC, the Zhou army marched on Shang. King Zhou hastily assembled forces to resist at Muye, but as the battle began, his troops defected en masse, switching sides mid-battle. The Shang army collapsed. King Zhou fled back to his palace, put on his royal jeweled robes, climbed atop the deer terrace and burned himself alive. When King Wu arrived, he had King Zhou's severed head displayed on a white banner for all to see. After King Zhou's death, King Wu also executed Daji, freed Jizi from prison, and restored Bigan's tomb with proper honors. He allowed King Zhou's son, Wu Geng, to remain as a ceremonial ruler, ordering him to govern in the spirit of Pan Geng's earlier reforms. From that point on, the once mighty Shang became a vassal state under Zhou rule. And so, after 554 years, the Shang Dynasty came to its end.